Welcome to my channel. My name is Colleen and today I'm going to show you how to work with inks and absorbent materials to create patterned background card. By absorbent I mean anything that can soak up liquid, and this video is going to show you how to use salt for that. So I have in my little spritz bottle some ink and I'm just now going to spray this onto my paper. I want to get it reasonably wet, so I'm putting color on. I want some thick areas and some thin areas. I'm not going to cover the whole paper solidly with ink because I just find that that becomes very intense. I want something a bit more interesting. So apart from the texture of the salt, I want to actually have some of this ink. And you do need to make sure that the ink is still wet. In other words, you need to be able to see it as being shiny on your surface, like these bigger blobs that I'm getting now that I'm putting on more, to be able to get some sort of an effect. If it's very dry, then obviously it's not going to be able to absorb anything. If you're working in an extremely hot climate, then what you could always do is just to spritz your paper with some water to begin with and then carry on. So now I'm going to sprinkle just some table salt over these wet areas, and what the salt does is it actually absorbs the ink and it creates these little patterned effects. So that is one where I've done simple basic spritzing on, and I'm going to have tiny little mottles as well as bigger ones. Now I'm going to do something slightly different, and I'm going to take a nice big fat brush here, and I'm going to dip this into some water, and I'm going to coat this piece of card with water. You can see already that the card becomes slightly transparent as it gets wet. And you do want to make sure that you coat the whole piece of card. So perhaps go backwards and forwards or lengthwise, and then do it in the opposite direction, side to side, just to make sure that you don't have any dry spots, because that will look rather ugly to have a line like that. Okay, so now because my paper is really, really nice and saturated with the water, I'm going to be able to put some ink on here. And this will give one a much more exaggerated type of effect. Let's just work with a different color here. Oh goodness, there we go. I've got a bottle whose nozzle wants to do its own thing, but anyway, we'll just work with it. So again, I'm going to get some lighter spots and I'm going to get some darker spots. But I want to do the two of these side by side so that you can see the contrast in the actual patterns that the salt makes, whether you're working on either a very wet or a very dry bit. So I'm sprinkling this on. Immediately you can see that the salt is absorbing the color and actually becoming green. And if you leave this until it's completely dry, leave it flat if possible, you're going to find that it actually will just brush off quite easily. So wherever the salt is, it's going to leave little patterns or textures in the card. Very nice sort of soft background. You can see here that there's more of a blob, and that's going to give it almost like a cell kind of effect, you know, where you've got a circular pattern. All right, so the secret now is just to set this aside and leave it to dry, and once it's completely dry, then just brush the excess salt off. And I will show you this once it's been completely dried. Bye for now.